Piers Morgan's show. Abby Phillips is the one half of a debate on the Piers Morgan show. Abby Phillips is on the pro-Palestinian, pro-anti-genocide side, and then the other lady, the blonde there, I forget her name, is on the opposite side, and she's a paid propagandist. Now, what's beautiful about this, I'm going to play this clip and then a longer version of something else, but the same interview, is that this is when it gets a little bit contentious. Let's just call it that, but it's a great video. It's a great video. Let me just put it there.
Right, and can I just address some of the points she made, because they're all just egregious lies. I mean, she's a paid propagandist for the state of Israel. I think
kind of like you being a paid propagandist for Putin, or defending the Chinese Communist Party.
You know what?
Defending the Chinese Communist Party against the crimes they're committing against the people of Hong Kong.
Let me speak. Emily, let me speak. You just spoke just flagrant lies for the last minute. When I was on this show 10 years ago, I was actually speaking out against RT on Russia Today. Can you say the same? I'm a completely independent journalist. You are literally a paid propagandist for the Israeli military. You just had the audacity to sit down with an Israeli military official.
From the Israeli military, and I would be happy
so you just were working for free? You literally said that you worked for the Ministry of Strategic Affairs, that you've worked with Stand With Us, which is an appendage of the Israeli government. Let me address the things that you just threw out there, which are lies. Yes, of course, they receive grants from the Knesset.
No.
So this is how they get around. This is the little sneaky games they play. You hear in what she wants to be able to say, I don't work for the Israeli government. And the reason she says that is this is on purpose why they have these sort of spin-offs, so they have the ability to say, no, I don't work for them, because you're working for this other entity which gets funds from the other entity that we're talking about. And that's what Abby Phillips is saying. Listen, we know you have a middle person that washes the money, so you don't appear to be working directly from the state for the state of Israel. But reporters like Abby Martin already know that bullshit, so it doesn't work. So this is why I love these interviews with like a Abby Martin, Max Blumenthal, and Aaron Monte. Dan Cohen is another one that's great on this. I should play that video with Dan Cohen. It's a classic one.
Terry, and I would be happy.
So you just were working for free? You literally said that you worked for the Ministry of Strategic Affairs, that you've worked with Stand With Us, which is an appendage of the Israeli government. Let me address the things that you just threw out there, which are lies. Yes, of course, they receive grants from the Knesset.
No, they don't.
Emily,
that is absolutely false.
Egypt, Israel has... Look it up on the internet, Emily. I'm not sure why you're lying again, but this is what you guys do. You deflect, you lie, you smear. Emily, we can't just keep speaking over each other the entire time. It's not
legal. Then stop lying, Abby.
Please let me speak.
Stop lying.
Israel has bragged the fact that Egypt just follows their orders. Okay, so we know that the aid is being prevented not only by fanatical Israelis who are blocking the aid trucks proudly, but from Israel themselves, Emily. And we know that almost as many civilians have been shot by Israeli forces just trying to scavenge for aid and food than civilians have died on October 7th. This is regular routine massacres that are happening of just desperate, starving Palestinians that are amassing to seek food. Is there anything that is more depraved than that?
That's absolutely
than to shoot
Earlier
desperate
this week, 7 million
seeking food. You can't just keep saying Hamas.
Gaza. 7 million pounds in one day.
Let me try if I can. Let me try and bring should be getting in.
I want to come
500
back
trucks per day.
Let me come if I can.
So at that last point of the video speaks to another thing I was going to mention. They try to say just recently they opened up a opening for some trucks to get through. 350 some odd trucks, or 300 plus. I don't know if it's 350. Could be 325. Something like that. That's below when the apartheid was regular apartheid, not the genocide version of apartheid. Trucks were was more than that. And considering that they've been starved of those trucks for weeks, letting in 350 trucks does what? When something like several thousand is needed. It's what the bourgeoisie loves to do. They love to give crumbs, and they want you to pat them on the back like they gave you a 7-course meal. This is why they say stuff like the economy's doing better. Why aren't you giving it credit? Because the rent is too damn high, motherfucker. Who gives a fuck that some retail items have come down in cost? Who gives a fuck if gas have come down in cost, and it's always compared to last year. Coming down in cost compared to last year does what when last year was up 400%, bitch? But this is the type of stuff they do. But anyway, here's another video, same interview. Here's the next video, same interview. This is the one that Abby put out herself. Let's listen.
What I do know is I find it very, very implausible that at the end of this, it simply all gets sorted out quite quickly and the Gazans go back to their destroyed homes, it all gets rebuilt, and they'll live happily ever after. So how does it end?
Right. I mean, well, no construction material has been allowed in for quite some time, so there is no rebuilding effort that's possible, especially when you've decimated the entire strip, demolished every aspect of civilian life, surgically striking doctors alongside their entire families, killing over 100 journalists, many in targeted assassinations alongside their entire families. I mean, really the best and brightest in Palestinian society in Gaza has been destroyed. IDF soldiers posting on TikTok that they're just blowing up mosques because they're bored, looting and pillaging women's lingerie. I mean, it really is depraved levels of sadism going on here. How does it end? A negotiated settlement immediately. I think that what Hamas is offering is not beyond the pale. It would be easy for Israel to comply with the demands. If we look at the 5-day truce that happened several months back, the Palestinian hostages that Israel's been keeping, they're not called hostages, but they should be because they're just political prisoners that are languishing in military detention. The vast majority of those political prisoners were not charged with anything. 30 of them were kids for throwing stones. So this is the kind of thing that we're talking about. When Hamas says release our hostages, that's who they're talking about. When they say the removal of Israeli troops from Gaza, I don't see how that couldn't be complied with. I mean, look, there should be a negotiated settlement. If you want the hostages back today, that could happen. And that's why there's thousands of Israelis protesting in the street.
Well, Hamas have just rejected the latest peace deal offering.
Well, okay, is it a permanent ceasefire? Because if you're just talking about a 6-week ceasefire before, well then, yeah. I mean, Israel's saying they're just going to continue the genocide after 6 weeks. How is that?
Do you think
you like how he tried to do that there? What do you mean? Hamas just rejected a ceasefire, and Abby Martin, not knowing the details of this news, just asked a simple question: is it a permanent ceasefire they rejected? Oh no. Well, what the fuck is your problem then, Piers? He was hoping she would get flustered and not be able to answer why, if Hamas is concerned about lives, why are they rejecting ceasefire deals? Because they're not permanent. Why would they say agree to a contract that just prolongs their imminent death for another 6 weeks? That's not a strategy.
Let me
ask you this before I go back to Emily. Let me ask you this, Abby. Do you think Hamas should stay in power at the end of this?
Yes.
Look, I'm whatever the Palestinians want, that's
what do you think?
That's what they will do. I mean, I think look, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the Palestinians of who their leadership should be. What I will say is Hamas isn't actually the most popular faction in Palestinian society. And Hamas is only the result of Israeli policy of brutal apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and occupation. That's why Hamas exists. Any type of Palestinian leadership that has arisen is a direct result of Israeli brutality. So I'm not going to speak on behalf of Palestinians and say what should or should not happen or who they should and should not elect. But I will say that Hamas.
That is such a great response. If you want to engage in somebody, my response to that, it wouldn't be a response necessarily where I want to continue to engage with the person. You get what I'm saying? I would be like, hell fucking yes. Hamas and the Houthis should be in charge. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, you two, right? Yeah, I am. But this is Abby essentially saying the same thing, but putting it in a more palatable package for this bourgeoisie people here by saying whatever the people there want. But then she goes on to say the people there want this radical government because of what's happening to them, the apartheid state. So whatever government they want is a result of the apartheid state. So she's saying it without saying it. You get what I'm saying? I would just get to the point that would be abrasive, and she's trying to package it for them. But absolutely. Why wouldn't we want a government who's about the business if we're being attacked? So love this answer by her. I'm gonna rewind and let it play one more time. The video's almost done. We're halfway there now since I rewinded it.
Yes.
Look, I'm whatever the Palestinians want, that's
What do you
that's
think?
what they will do. I mean,
What do you
I think look, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the Palestinians of who their leadership should be. What I will say is Hamas isn't actually the most popular faction in Palestinian society. And Hamas is only the result of Israeli policy of brutal apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and occupation. That's why Hamas exists. Any type of Palestinian leadership that has arisen is a direct result of Israeli brutality. So I'm not going to speak on behalf of Palestinians and say what should or should not happen or who they should and should not elect. But I will say that Hamas is a democratically elected leadership of the Gaza Strip. I understand that there will be blowback and that inevitably violence will happen if these policies maintain in place.
Should Netanyahu remain in power in Israel after this?
No.
Oh, hang on.
I think that the Israeli people have spoken about Netanyahu, but I think that Netanyahu is the tip of the iceberg. To blame this all on Netanyahu and his so-called right-wing government is to wash away
he stay in power,
the foundation of what Israel is.
Should he stay in power after this?
No, he's committing genocide. No.
So you're prepared to say to the Israeli people, no, your leader should go.
Here's the thing.
Because one is committing a genocide, you fucking buffoon. You see? This is what I hate, how white supremacy does this, where they go and they do this, like, for example, with affirmative action. Oh, that's reverse racism, motherfucker. That's because you keep not letting nobody in your fucking club. They want to be able to commit atrocities, and when you commit the same exact act against them, they want to say it's the same. No, it's not, motherfucker. This is defense. As if the leadership in Hamas and the leadership of the state of Israel is the same. One is a terrorist state and one is a resistance fighting group. This guy, Piers Morgan, trying to equate genociders with the people who are having genocide pushed upon them.
The Israeli people are out.
Their leadership
should go.
But here's the thing.
Again, the inconsistency.
The Israeli people are out in the streets in the tens of thousands saying Netanyahu should go.
There are many Palestinians who want Hamas to go too, I'm sure.
He's calling this inconsistent. So this leads me to another video. Now, I wasn't even going to play this video, and I just remember watching it. It's a great video. I didn't have a reason to play it. It wasn't an opportunity I saw to play it until now. Because this is the answer to that. This is not no hypocrisy or anything like that. Let's go to Norman Finkelstein. Somebody in the audience said Abby Martin is like a young version of Norm Finkelstein. So let's go to him because he talks about this, what they're talking about here. And it's actually on the same show. Listen to what he says.
There were atrocities, large atrocities that occurred on October 7th. I think it's indisputable. You then asked me, would you consider it terrorism? I then replied to you, I think atrocity.
So he's talking about what Hamas did on October 7th.
These denote terrorism. However, I said I take the same attitude towards the perpetrators of those atrocities as the abolitionists in the United States took towards the Nat Turner Rebellion. Nat Turner,
so you justify them, so you praise them, so you glorify them, and you honor them. That's the reality.
Piers, can I finish?
Yeah.
Can I finish?
Yeah.
Nat Turner and the slave revolt committed horrible atrocities. The abolitionists said horrible things happened, but they never condemned.
No, they
Nat
don't
Turner.
Happen. They are perpetrated by people. You're justifying
what they
it.
did was,
Finkelstein,
allow me to finish.
This is the lowest point
Piers,
you've ever
please
gotten
tell them to stop.
And you've gotten to low points, but this is the lowest point you've gotten to, comparing these rapists and these murderers
well, I think
abolitionists
Alan, let him
is
finish.
The lowest point in your history.
Let him finish what he's trying to say.
Sure.
Thank you.
Let me have
By the way, Nat Turner's rebellion, in Nat Turner's rebellion, they committed horrible atrocities, including beheading babies. That's a fact. However, the abolitionists,
you're justifying that.
You're
justifying that.
They did not. Please, Piers, can you please tell him?
I think let him finish the point he's making, and then you respond.
Okay. Thank you so much. However, the abolitionists did not condemn the perpetrators. The abolitionists kept saying, "We told you so. We told you so. We told you so." If you treat people like that, what happened with the slave revolt inevitably would happen. And I say, if you lock 2 million people in a concentration camp for 20 years, half of whom are children who were born into that concentration camp, don't react with shock and dismay and disbelief and indignation at what happened on October 7th. I have spent the last 20 years, I have spent the last 20 years of my life studying what's been done to the people of Gaza. And each time I reread what I wrote, I'm more firm than ever before. I will not condemn those people, even as I acknowledge that massive, unspeakable atrocities occurred on October 7th.
Okay.
That's Norman. And the reason why a lot of people love Norman. Let's go back to to Twitter now, but that is just a great way to address this attempt of trying to conflate, to equalize the actions of a perpetrator versus the actions of the victim, even if the actions are the same. Not the same in the context of what's happening.